from the Figure 4 Online Studios in beautiful Bothell, Washington, exclusively at WrestlingObserver.com. You're listening to the Bryan and Vinny Show with your hosts, Bryan Alvarez and Big Vinny V.
Oh, yeah, and Craig. It's the Bryan and Vinny Show, everybody.
Yeah. Out of practice.
February 23rd, 2016, figure4online.com/wrestlingobserver.com. Craig is back. Vinny is here. Craig returned just in time for Vinny to leave.
We don't really need two of us.
He's got a point.
I need 3 more. Not less.
That would be so hot in this room then.
Oh, God. Well, you're losing weight at least. Have you lost weight?
Not yet.
You've been walking an hour a day and you haven't lost a pound?
I've lost 1 pound, yeah.
Oh, well, so you've lost something. Yeah. Have you heard of the incline?
I'm doing an incline.
Oh.
On the treadmill?
Shit.
Yeah.
That's my next, I thought if the walking doesn't help, you could raise the incline.
I've got it set at the max incline.
The max? Like you're going at 10?
15.
15?
15%, yeah.
How have you only lost a pound? That's like...
Because my diet hasn't changed at all.
I know, but if it hasn't changed, but you've added exercise, it is like a physical impossibility that
if
you haven't
I worried
lost
about
weight.
that, I would quit. So I'm not worrying about it.
I need a scientist on this show. Maybe he could explain this.
Well, let's talk about wrestling.
I'm so angry. Why does this always happen right before this show? It ain't your fault.
Oh.
It's fucking FedEx's
What the hell
fault.
I did?
Nothing. But I took it out on your scale. Is it that hard to deliver something overnight? Why does everything like this happen? It's the fucking cable company. It's FedEx. Like, what next? Does anything work in this world? I paid $140 to overnight something.
Oh.
First off, think about that. Think about that. It's supposed to be here by 10 a.m. this morning. And this little tracking gimmick right here looks like it's still in Indianapolis. And it hasn't updated since 12:50 a.m., which is going on, 18 hours now? Where the fuck is this thing?
Almost 20.
If it's not here by 9, I would request your money back.
Well, you see, here's the problem is, who do I request it from? Because when I call, I got someone who didn't speak any language that I've ever heard. I literally eventually hung up again. All I do is call customer service and hang up on people because nobody can help me with fucking anything. So I don't know where this thing is right now. Indiana, apparently.
What were you trying to buy?
It's beside the point. It's a piece of audio equipment.
Okay.
I wanted it here for the show. And sure as shit, it's not here, and I don't even know where it is. It would be nice if they just said, it'll be here tomorrow. But, it's still telling me it's going to be here today, but it's in Indiana. It ain't going to be here today.
Did you give them an Indiana address?
No, fuck no.
Did you send it to RD or anything?
Trust me, I did not send it to RD. So add that to my list of woes. You know what would be funny if it was a cable box that I had overnighted, and it's stuck in Indianapolis for $140 to not get it here on time.
Sorry, dude.
I love that everyone just sits here in silence.
Oh, yeah, I can never tell when you're done.
When I light on fire. Well, you better say something, because I could go on all night about how much I hate FedEx.
Then I don't have to do any talking.
Have you ever called FedEx here on this show?
I don't believe so. No.
Oh, God, it's the worst. It is the worst. It's one of those things where there's no buttons to push. You just have to say words.
Yeah, it's
but
bad.
it never
that's
works.
Actually worse. Yeah.
Yeah, it never works.
You ever scream the F word into it? Just see what it does.
No, does it have something funny to say to you?
I don't know. I'm just asking.
I should make a hit list on the website. Do they have a Yelp? Go in there and complain.
FedEx?
Yeah, is there a FedEx Yelp?
Probably.
How do I complain about FedEx on the internet? If I go to their Twitter, they'll
That's
just
a
go...
great mystery. No one's ever complained about anything online ever before.
I'm
Well-
guessing you might start with Twitter.
Yeah, if I go on Twitter, they're going to say, how can we help you? Well, I tried calling your 1-800 line, and that didn't work. So what the fuck are you going to do on Twitter that's going to help me? Get my goddamn package here. Is the guy who runs a Twitter going to go to Indianapolis and find this fucking thing and then bring it here tonight? Probably fucking not. Craig, why don't you open your present? Maybe that'll calm me down.
Doubtful. Why don't you open up your card there?
I'm going to do that after I've blown off all my steam. Otherwise, I'll feel really bad.
This is a gift that we got, a late arriving Christmas gift, and then Craig wasn't here when we opened it and hasn't been here since. So, Craig, Merry Christmas in almost March.
Yeah. It says for Craig, something you can use for Periscope. Happy belated holidays from the Sheik, Sammy in New Jersey.
Yeah. We also have a card here for Granny we got to remember to open.
Yeah, leave that here. I'll get it to her.
Okay.
What's the next holiday? Probably my daughter's birth.
St. Patty's Day.
My daughter could be born tonight, and this thing will be sitting outside in the...
I told Craig on the way here that's possible that the
I'm just pointing out that
miracle could happen tonight.
if they would have overnighted it, I wouldn't have to worry about it.
I see.
But now if she comes tomorrow, maybe sitting out in front of my house, easily stolen for the next... Christ knows how long.
Oh, cool. It's a little stand for your iPhone. And, yeah.
So while you're periscoping, you can put it
So
on
it's a
the stand.
selfie stick.
For lack of a better term, yes. But you could, as the picture says here, you could wrap it around a tree branch and hold your phone.
Wow.
Yeah, that's dope. Thanks,
Well,
Sammy.
let me get a
Well, it's fine
tree.
to do that.
Actually, we do have a tree right there. What a coincidence. Wrap it on that damn branch. All right, let me open up this card. At least he spelled my name right.
This is from young Cameron Proper.
Yeah.
He said, please deliver this to Brian.
Many thanks. There's nothing in it.
It's a card, doofus.
There's no money. Thank you for
How much
taking
money
me...
do you think Cameron has?
Actually, probably a lot.
Don't do it too bad, actually.
Thank you for taking me to Raw, and I had a fun time.
Aw.
Thank you, Cameron. That's very sweet, Craig.
That's what he
Tell
does.
him he's a good boy.
I know he is. I mean, I do.
Now, his grammar, we could work on that a little bit. But he already has better spelling than you and Ed. Put together.
Well, he wrote that by hand. I have spell check.
So, let me get this straight. You have spell check and you still spell things wrong. But he wrote this by hand and he got everything right. Man, there's hope for this young feller. He may be an English major.
Well, I hope not. Engineering.
You hope not.
No,
Oh, because there's no money in it.
get a real job.
I see. Wow. Well, maybe he likes to write.
Ah.
He's in the middle of doing a report for you as well.
He's doing a report?
Yeah.
What do you mean a report? For the front page?
No. We were here for... Well, I came and rescued you from Whitney's baby shower. Remember we went and had lunch and such?
Yes.
And went down to your garage, and Whitney had said, there's more videotapes and DVDs in
God.
there.
Please don't tell me he's reviewing an Al Snow tape.
No, he's reviewing an ROH DVD.
Really?
And he's writing a report, just like
Wow.
you told him to.
I told him to write a report?
Absolutely you did.
What a dick.
Which,
Yeah.
Well, when he gets it to me, I'll read it here on the air.
Okay.
which era of ROH?
I want to say it's like 2008, 2009.
Okay,
in there.
probably okay. I think the younger stuff may not have been too appropriate. Or the older stuff, I should say.
Yeah, that's true.
He watches Raw. Vince said fuck last night on the show, for Christ's sake. What are we
They
worried about?
Bleeped it.
You could read his lips. I'm sure young Cameron's smartened up by now.
Oh, sure.
He goes to school.
He goes to private school.
They don't have any swear words in private school?
Not as many.
I don't know about that. All right,
Not as many, actually. It's probably right.
let's go, Vinny.
Oh. Guess just get my notes open then. So, Raw. From 19 years ago. February 24th, 1997.
Can I say this real quick? I was so looking forward to this because my memory of this show
Oh.
was such
It's a famous show.
I
that
knew
I-
this was going to happen.
that I absolutely could not wait to watch this because I remember how cool it was in 1997. Boy, was I wrong.
Sucked. God, this was so bad.
A lot of it sucked. We'll get into it here.
I didn't look back. I was not as big an ECW fan as a lot of people. I didn't think it sucked at the time, but I was not like a fan. Like when these guys showed up on Raw, it wasn't like I went and watched ECW television every week.
Well, we didn't have it here.
Well,
We didn't have it, but I could have got tapes.
We can put this in context, which is actually important. This was not quite the first ECW I ever saw. They were on a local, whatever the equivalent of Fox Sports would have been in 1997.
They were on something here for a while.
It was on Fox
For like 2
Sports
months.
For like 2 months.
Yeah, and I had seen like half an episode, and the episode I saw was essentially nothing but 40 minutes of the Gangstas and the Eliminators brawling. So that's all I had seen, and then I watched this show.
I actually traded tapes, and I got their television monthly
Yeah.
from a guy in New York.
Yeah, so you would have seen a lot more than me. This is for all intents and purposes, this is my first exposure to ECW wrestling. So,
Wrestling.
well, it's true. So let's begin.
I felt like Jerry Lawler watching this show.
Yeah.
The Godwins versus the New Blackjacks. Godwins didn't even get an entrance.
Let me put this into context.
Right.
Let's be fair.
Okay.
The ECW on this show pretty much sucked. It was still better than the WWF on this show.
See, this is what I'm getting at with this because
Because the
I
opener-
was not floored by ECW by any means on this, but my God, it was so much the better half.
On a scale of 1 to 10, the WWF stuff was a 1,
Yes.
and the ECW stuff was between a 2 and a 2.5.
That's fair.
There was nothing resembling a 10 on this show.
Oh, that's for sure. That's for sure. But I don't know. I don't think I minded any of the ECW stuff, but we'll get into it. But the WWF stuff was awful. The New Blackjacks in 1997. Two guys come out shirtless in chaps with big thick mustaches. Maybe that's the I don't know if it's the same impression in 97 they had when Blackjack Lanza and Blackjack Mulligan came out. But it's them against the Godwins. Had a long match. It was boring mostly. Ken Shamrock was shown in the front row from the UFC, they said.
Man, he's aged.
It's been a long 20 years.
It's been 20 years.
I look the same.
No, you don't. We saw a picture of you in the front row at Raw. You look like a little boy.
So, chance of Hogan sucks, the first Die Rocky sign, I believe, in Raw history. Bradshaw, probably in the best shape of his career, whatever that's worth. And he went back and forth a while. Bradshaw hit Phineas with a clothesline from hell. Wyndham made a cover. Phineas got in front of the ropes. The ref counted 3 anyway, and that is how the Blackjacks win in their debut.
They had to protect the farmers,
Yeah,
the Godwins.
they could not get a clean pin in their first match in. And then a ref ran out to protest this, and the ref who got it wrong got slopped.
This sucked.
At one point, Bradshaw whipped Phineas in. Phineas took the corner. Bradshaw ran in, and Phineas caught him in a head scissors and took him over with a head scissors to the outside.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah,
This match sucked.
it did. It did. So they went to break. When they came back, there was a guy in the ring just randomly checking turnbuckles. The Eliminators came through the crowd. Place went nuts for that. And they grabbed the guy for total elimination. And time froze. So the 3 men made sure they were all... No one moved, by the way, so they're all in position. And then the poor guy taking the move had to stand there like a dumbass for seconds, waiting for them to kick him.
He stood there, held his breath, closed his eyes,
With
and then
his
they hit
hands
their
on
move.
his head.
Yeah. And they hit their move on him, and Paul Heyman came around and said ECW is accepting Jerry Lawler's challenge.
This show. Can you imagine if there was some low-level podcast and you, Vinny, got really mad at them and you said, I issue an open challenge to come on to our show next week. And so
Don't get any ideas, Ed.
I am sitting here, and I've got everything that we got to review on the show, and all of a sudden, a bunch of numbskulls barge in through that door, grab mics, and they start doing their show. And I'm just sitting here going, hey, these geeks accepted Vinny's challenge. Cool. What the fuck was Vince doing? These guys came in storyline,
Yeah.
and they took over Raw.
Yes.
Vince didn't say, I was contacted by Paul Heyman earlier today, and we are going to feature 4 ECW matches.
He didn't say half the crew's in Germany and I'm desperate for TV time.
Nope. He's just running his show, and all of a sudden these numbskulls show up, and they start putting on their fucking matches.
Yeah.
And he's just sitting there like, cool.
With their graphics.
But he's not even a fan. He's like, I can't even explain it. He's like a gracious host where a bunch of stupid shit's happening, and he doesn't care enough to actually watch it. Like, he's ignoring half of it. He has no idea what's going on.
No.
He's just letting him run roughshod over the show. And then Lawler is practically getting in a fist fight with the guy, and he's just sitting there in between him as his show is going all to hell. This was preposterous.
It's funny, too, with your analogy. There's one drunk guy that, always making a scene, and the last thing we see on the show is the Sandman coming in.
Basically.
Yeah. So, yes, we got Little Guido versus Big Stevie Cool.
Oh, my God.
I don't know what was up with the ECW guys' music. Obviously, they were using a lot of unlicensed, well-known songs.
No, they were all very close, but they were ripoffs. It was not Man in a Box. They changed like 3 chords.
I think maybe, well, obviously on the ECW TV show, it was Man in the Box.
Yes,
Yeah.
they were blatantly.
Here, they edited in their very close ripoff of Man in the Box and the BWO's music and Kiss for Taz and all that. So, Vince McMahon marking out for the Blue World Order's comedy.
This is where I just
My mind broke.
I just was I could not even. These guys come out. God bless them all.
The first thing we see from ECW, by the way, the BWO.
A huge fat guy, a skinny guy pretending to be Shawn Michaels, who I guess was actually supposed to be
Diesel.
Diesel?
Yeah.
Whatever the
Kevin
fuck he
Nash.
was supposed to be. And then they're fake Sean Waltman. And they're out there as the...
And they're fake Hogan.
Think about this.
And 6.
If anybody listening to this right now ever played the NWO for Halloween, they probably looked more like them than these 3 guys did. And they're out there in whatever their gear is, looking as indie-rific as humanly possible. And Stevie Richards, as skinny as can be, in his Daisy Dukes, in his cut-off tank top,
Yeah.
screams, "We're taking over!" And Vince goes, "Ha ha ha!"
And Vince could not
Like,
even
what the fuck?
Vince could not even bring himself to mention the NWO. He says there's obviously a ripoff of the NWO clothing line.
Yeah.
Not the other show
No.
that's on
Right
at
now.
the same time as you, the clothing line. NWO.
They're out there just being wacky.
They do not look like superstars.
No! At all! And Paul's doing commentary. And they do a match, and Raven comes out to watch with his belt on, and it just looks so staged. Vince calls Stevie Richards Stevie Ray.
Yeah.
They cut to the back for a random interview with Goldust, who looks so far gone.
This was a bad promo.
Oh my...
This was a very, very
God.
bad promo.
And then we have a Stevie kick finish on the show where Shawn Michaels, until he lost his smile, had been God. And Vince let this guy do a Stevie kick for a finish on Raw. This was the craziest thing I've ever seen.
It was very
And
weird.
not in a good way. I couldn't believe this aired on television.
I thought it was a fine match for 3 minutes. It did amuse me. This is something that people complain about have complained about in WWF and WWE for 20 years, but it's true everywhere. Little Guido was very clearly the better wrestler in this match. But Stevie was taller and had better hair and was a better talker. Therefore, Stevie was in the main event of the pay-per-view and Guido wasn't on the show. So that was that. Sonny did a backstage promo making fun of Marlena for having bad ribs. And then... Oh my God. Sonny and Marlena had an arm wrestling match segment that must have lasted at least a half hour.
Where did the Sunny heel turn come from? Did I miss that?
I don't think she was ever a babyface, really.
She wasn't?
No.
She came out every single solitary week and was cheered wildly.
She's hot.
But she was a heel?
Yeah.
Well, they did a hell of a job with that one.
I'll tell you, dude. So...
Why? If she never did anything, and she was hot, and everybody cheered her, why was she a heel?
Because she had been before that. She was the manager of the Body Donnas, and they were heels.
In 1995?
She did call the people fat here.
Yeah, she was a heel.
I see.
She was doing the Rick Rude, yeah.
She did blatant Rick Rude ripoff. It was hysterical because she comes out and she's got the robe on and she cuts the Rick Rude promo and she starts doing the tease of taking off the robe and flashing the crowd and closing it again. And she finally drops the robe and she's wearing like wrestling gear.
Hot pants and a
Yeah, it was
top. Yeah.
1% more revealing than just any other outfit.
She was the anti-Roman Reigns. Because I guess she was a heel, but everything she did was cheered.
Yes.
On every show.
Yes. Marlena comes out in a gold thong leotard over black stockings. Sonny says, "You have bad ribs. I will give you a chance to forfeit. I'll take the cheap victory, she says. Marlena won't do it. She instead makes a joke about Sunny being a prostitute. Says she would get off her deathbed to arm wrestle Sunny. And Sunny stalled. She stalled again. Marlena stalled. Honky's making jokes about wanting to go backstage and drink.
There was a lot of it back there, I'd presume, on this show.
God, I don't blame him. At last, they start to arm wrestle, and they go back and forth. Honky is doing commentary and cheerleading. And Marlena is about to win.
In the most sexualized manner possible.
Yeah, he kept telling
Grips.
the girls, get a
Keep
nice
going.
firm grip there.
I should add, by the way, they did not have like an arm wrestling table or desk, whatever you call that thing. They just brought in like a knee-level footstool and had the girls bend over and put their arms on it. I'm not complaining.
What did you expect?
Just an observation.
Over the top?
Scott Norton would have been very disappointed in this arm wrestling contest.
They ran a 1,000-seat building. They're not spending any money on a fucking arm wrestling table.
So Marlena's about to win when Sunny throws powder in her eyes. And as you noted, they're in a 1,000-seat building. It's small. And you can hear one fan shout out, "You fucking bitch!"
Over and over.
He was outraged Sunny had cheated in this arm wrestling contest. So, for some reason, Savio Vega came out to harass the blinded Sunny. And Goldust came out to make the save. And sadly, this led to a match.
Savio came out and went after Melina. Or whatever her name is.
That's
Marlena?
There you go.
Yeah. That's why Goldust
Melina
came
was
out.
10. Yeah.
Then this fucking match.
Goldust and Savio. Let's talk about Miguel Perez. We've been watching Retro Raw now for months, maybe even a whole year. Has Miguel Perez been on this show one time?
I think so, because I think he had a really great match.
He was on WCW.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah.
He
Went to the wrong building?
That's for.
I can believe that.
All these fans also went to the wrong building.
He was the one wearing the sweater and the tights.
Oh, that's right. He was the hairy one.
Yes.
Okay. Well, regardless, this
He
was
has
his
hair in his mouth, apparently.
This is his Raw debut. He was on commentary. He had nothing to say and a very uninteresting way of saying it. Incredibly bland and boring. His promo in Spanish that he cut on Savio for how disappointed everyone in Puerto Rico was. Him speaking Spanish was better than him speaking English.
Right.
Let me talk about how much this match sucked real quick.
I wrote, match was boring and involved a lot of chin locks.
They had a boring match, and in the middle of the match, Goldust gets sent outside. Crush is outside. So normally you see a man thrown outside, and the heel on the outside hits him, or throws him into the steps, or posts him. Not fucking Crush.
No, sir.
Crush grabs him and plants him with a fucking pile driver on the outside, and then throws him back in the ring, and the match keeps going.
Yes.
It's just a move.
Yes.
And they go on and on and on and on and on until we get a fucking disqualification.
There's a lot of
That all happened.
squeezing and nerve holds by Savio. It was not good.
So from the WWE side, we had a pinfall with a man's foot underneath the ropes, and we've got a disqualification so far.
For no reason.
So that's 2 for 2 shit finishes.
It's not like even Goldust had a pin. They were brawling, and Crush just ran in and hit him. Yeah, it was during this match. I looked down to see how far are we into this. How long do we have to go? 30 minutes gone. That's where I got bored. Perez made the save. He dropkicked Savio out of the ring. Crowd was cheering him because they were wrestling fans, but they had no idea who he was.
Well, he did the only good move of the match. He had a missile drop kick.
That's also
Right
true.
on.
And he showed it. They were in the Manhattan Center, so they showed Tiny Tim appearing on Raw in that building in 1993. Jerry Lawler goes to interview Ken Shamrock.
Oh, my God. Lawler kept saying, I know that guy. That's Ken Shamrock, the ultimate fighting champion, blah, blah, blah. I know he's a heel. I understand that when he's on commentary, maybe he'll lie to make himself look better. But he goes over to Ken Shamrock, and he wants Ken Shamrock to tell everybody how they used to train together, and he taught him all of his submission moves. And Shamrock says, I don't know who you are. And Lawler's shocked and embarrassed. What the fuck did the Jerry Lawler character
Yes!
expect to happen?
That is my good question. What was his plan?
Yeah, what the fuck
Did he
was
think
his
he'd be
plan?
so smooth that he'd manipulate Ken Shamrock?
Did he think he was going to hypnotize him in the middle of this interview and cause him to lie?
So Shamrock
I could not for the life of me understand the motivation of the Jerry Lawler character.
did not look sober here.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. But he was confused, much as he had been during that Savio match, by the way. He often looked confused when they showed him. And he said, "I don't know you. You're a liar." And Lawler says, "I can't believe you're trying to embarrass me like this." And again, I know he's a heel. There's a middle-aged man wearing a crown on TV. Anyway.
This was so bad.
Mikey Whipwreck versus Taz.
This actually, as a match, was the best thing on the
It was the
show.
only thing good on the show.
I love Taz.
It wasn't even much of a match.
I could watch Taz suplex geeks all day. He did I believe it was a Northern Lights here where his own head almost ended up between his feet. It was awesome. Heyman's promo before the match noting this show has sucked without ECW. True.
It wasn't a whole hell of a lot better with ECW,
Well-
let's be honest.
Yeah. So Lawler buries Taz for being short. Heyman buries Lawler for being short and old. Sabu came out, did the dive off the Raw sign.
Oh my god, no. So these guys are having a decent 2-minute match, which essentially is just Taz suplexing this fucker all over the place. In the middle of this 2 minutes, it is imperative for some reason that they go backstage to interview Farouk,
Yeah.
who thunders on and on about fuck off only knows what. No one's paying any attention to him or the match now.
Yes.
So this is the most useless split screen of all time.
I actually forgot to even write this down.
So then, as he's ranting, they go back to the ring for Sabu's big debut. Let's talk about what really happened. Sabu is in the balcony.
No.
He's in the balcony.
No, he's on top of the Raw sign.
Whatever the fuck. He's high in the air. He's in the crow's net. It doesn't matter. The point is he's way above the entrance area. That's all that matters. Then he just falls.
Yes.
Well, he attempted to leap and lost
See,
his footing and tripped.
The
He
Raw
fell
sign is not
head
designed
first.
for jumping off of, therefore it was wobbly.
Now, why did he fall? Because apparently there were just some guys, and he decided to jump on them in the middle of a match. So he jumps on the guys, and they all fall down.
He jumped on Taz's team. Team Taz.
Team Taz.
Yeah.
Heyman's going crazy trying to sell all of this. Vince McMahon with his spectacles on, it doesn't even know where he's at. This is 19 years ago, by the way.
Yes.
Sabu heads over to the ring, and Taz decides, I'm going to suplex Mikey over the top rope onto Sabu. Fucking botches it like you'd never saw before.
Yeah.
Mikey tumbles over the ropes, falls down. 18 men topple like dominoes. Geeks take Sabu away, and then Taz sets up for the head and arm Tazplex. And he grabs Mikey. And Heyman he's bursting at the seams. He's like, "You're going to see the head and arm Tazplex." And he hooks him up, and finally, Taz just sort of drops him on his head, and Vince goes, "What's that called?" And Paul rewinds, and he goes, "That's the head and arm Tazplex." You got to imagine Heyman just out of his fucking mind, turning blue and purple, and Vince just sitting there, not knowing what the fuck's happening. And then Taz put him in the kata hajime and beat him. This show was a disaster. But you know what? I will say one thing about this show. It was not boring.
No.
Well,
It was
no,
not boring.
The ECW stuff was not boring.
True.
The WWF stuff was incredibly boring.
And you know why the ECW stuff wasn't boring? Because it may as well have been a fight. It may as well have been a shoot.
Yeah.
Every fucking crazy thing was happening in every moment of every match.
It was like watching that Bellator fight the other night.
It was!
It actually was. That's a great comparison.
Every fight was Kimbo versus Dada 5000.
I just know that at the time I was so excited to see a whole league of new men. That was cool. That's all that matters, that they were new. There's a lesson to be learned there, too, by the way. Vince has been plugging a big surprise all night long. It wasn't enough that ECW invaded. It wasn't enough that Ken Shamrock debuted. He also brought in the Legion of Doom. He matched them up against the headbangers. So you're thinking, okay, it'll be like WCW Saturday Night all over again. They'll win in 3 minutes.
Couldn't even do that.
No.
Give me 10 minutes.
They did for a while, and then Hawk got cut off. They beat him up for a long time. And the headbangers suck.
And then, after all that, we have a double count out.
Yeah.
And after the double count out, the Legion of Doom hits the goddamn Doomsday device anyway.
Yeah.
Why the fuck couldn't they beat the Headbangers?
I don't know. This is a badly booked show.
It was terrible. This was the return of the Legion of Doom.
Yeah.
They went to a double count out with the Headbangers.
Yes.
On a show that already had 2 fuck finishes in WWE matches. We are now 3 for 3 in shitty finishes.
There was a point in the match where the crowd started to chant Nitro sucks.
Bischoff sucks. Hogan sucks.
Yeah. And
No, there was a chance of this show sucks.
I didn't hear that.
No,
I did.
You did not hear that.
I bet you I did.
Anyway, somebody, Lawler said something, and Vince claims there's no censorship of posters or saying in the WWF.
Well,
I'm still hung up on this show sucks. You're telling me they didn't say that.
They didn't say that.
What were they thinking in the middle of the Legion of Doom versus the Headbangers that compelled them to talk about how WCW sucked?
well, it was boring. They had to talk about something.
Well, let me tell you something. WCW was way better than this fucking show.
That's for sure.
This show did not need to be 2 hours.
No.
And before anyone says, Brian, you're so hard on the show, but half the crew was in Germany. Who the fuck sent him to Germany on a Monday?
Yes.
Eric? Paul? No.
So Vince notes that Shawn Michaels and Mark Mero are out with, and I quote, really bad knees. Very specific medical info.
Where was Shane McMahon to come back and save the company from all these injuries back here in 97?
This led to Tell Me a Lie.
Craig, did you mark out when Shane McMahon returned?
I had a mild mark out on the couch
Really?
there. I mean, I didn't jump out of my skin or anything, but I was like, hey, look at that. There's that guy. That's about it.
Okay. You haven't seen it yet, Vinny?
I've only seen it in GIF form on Twitter. It was pretty unavoidable.
It was funny, too, because my son, I'm like, hey, that's Shane McMahon. And my son goes, who?
Exactly.
Yes.
He hasn't been around. The last time he was on television,
Someone's in diapers.
He was 2 years old.
Yeah. And I did laugh at the story where Shane came out in a suit and sneakers. And,
Jordans.
oh, forgive me. Jordans.
Yeah.
Expensive sneakers.
But I believe it was Seth Mates. It was one of the former writers who said, Shane once yelled at me for wearing sneakers with my suit.
Yeah, because he was stealing Shane's gimmick.
I see.
Tell me a lie.
Here, Tell Me a Lie. This was not the first time it aired. But all I could think watching this sentimental malarkey was, boy, all those fans who've been booing Shawn Michaels, this will turn them around for sure.
Oh, yeah.
This will solve everything.
Fuck, they should play this on Raw for Roman Reigns after he got his damn
They
nose
should.
broken.
You should.
Just have shots throughout history of his nose. Fourth tragedy struck.
That'd be a great video.
Here was his nose as a youth.
Growing up in Florida. Devon Dudley versus Tommy Dreamer. In the first minute, we had multiple ball shots and multiple weapon shots.
How skinny was Devon Dudley? Holy cow.
Skinnier than he is now?
Much.
Yeah. So was Tommy. Actually, much.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Was anyone not skinnier?
Sandman.
Bubba was twice the size.
Bubba was huge, yeah.
Got great calves, though.
That's what I've heard.
Total garbage match.
Yeah, this was garbage wrestling if ever there was one. There was stairs and a cane, and they're trying to identify weapons pulled out of the crowd.
Frying pans.
Frying pans, many nut shots.
Let me talk about the end.
All right.
They do all of this garbage, and suddenly it is imperative that we show a backstage promo with The Undertaker. And as they go to the split screen, in the background, Beulah has gotten involved. There's a Dreamer DDT. Bubba Ray hits the ring. There's a 3D on Dreamer. All of this, the finish happening while
Yes.
Undertaker is rambling about a shitty main event he's about to have.
Yeah.
And Heyman is turning purple. It's Beulah McGillicuddy. It's the fucking Sandman. And Vince McMahon just calmly says, "The who?"
You know who does a really bad Paul Heyman impression?
I do.
It's half Paul Heyman, half Vince. Is what it is.
So,
Vince
yes.
does not give a shit about one goddamn thing that's happening in the big culminating angle of Paul Heyman's appearance on Raw to plug his pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Vince doesn't even know what planet he's on right now.
Vince was not impressed, nor was he unimpressed. He had no reaction. He was merely mildly confused to all of this. But
who?
yes, we got more nut shots, more chair shots, a pinfall, a 3D, Sandman coming through the crowd, Kane shots, and Sandman and Dreamer finally cleared the ring, and that was the big end of ECW. And yeah, that was a big mess. And it's not the first time I've seen a guy hit in the head with a chair lately, but first time I've seen a bunch of them in one match in a long time. Don't need to see it.
Fuck.
It's not fun anymore.
And then when it's all over, Paul Heyman, on commentary, turns and he says, "Mr. McMahon, I just want to thank you for letting us come on this show and plug our pay-per-view. I don't care what anyone says. You have more cojones than anyone ever gave you credit for." It was a very sincere thank you.
Yeah.
And then Lawler jumps all over him. And then he jumps all over Lawler. And there's a big, giant pull-apart brawl. And Vince McMahon, grandfatherly, bespectacled Vince McMahon, is right in the middle of this, getting smashed and destroyed. And they fade to black. Like a riot is breaking out in the Manhattan Center. And they come back commercial, and Vince is calmly sitting there. It's quite the segment.
Yeah.
So you're not impressed with Vince, really?
Coming up next. Vince was just like out to lunch.
It was Vince's
How did he want
performance
this on his show?
more than ECW was something you hated.
This whole show was just a fucking disaster.
I thought this pull-apart was awesome.
It was an amazing disaster.
Yeah.
This is like the first thing, because Lawler ended up in the ECW arena in a cage match with the ECW guys later on.
Yeah.
That was good
He
stuff.
showed up, I think, in their second pay-per-view, if I remember right.
Because the man understands
yeah.
business.
Oh, yes.
And money.
Yes. Had a recap of all the many encounters last week between Bret Hart, Psycho Sid, and Steve Austin, which culminated in Sid beating Bret for the championship. And then we had clips of Bret throwing a profane tantrum backstage, hunting for Austin, and cursing out cameramen. Todd Pettengill came out to do a real interview with Ken Shamrock. He said he was enjoying an exciting show in and out of the ring. Introduced his wife.
I'll say.
Introduced his father. Pettengill asked him for a prediction in the WrestleMania main event. Who's going to win, Psycho Sid or The Undertaker? And Ken Shamrock, bless his heart, analyzed this cartoon like it was sport.
Good.
He said, "I'm picking The Undertaker. Why? Is it because he has undead powers? No. Is it because it's his time? No. He has better technique and balance."
It's true.
It's abundantly true, but it still sounds so bizarre on this show especially.
I loved when they pulled him about Bret versus Austin. And history tells us that Bret versus Austin at WrestleMania was a brilliant double turn. In reality, when they asked him about this, everybody cheered Steve Austin and they booed Bret Hart. This was an easy fucking double turn.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. He refused to make a prediction in the submission match, which, of course, he would end up reffing down the line. So it's time for Undertaker versus Farouk.
Oh, fuck.
Farouk stopped to confront Austin, said the UFC is catfighting, and the WWF, we don't have cats, we have tigers, and he dared him to step in the ring and prove he was a man. And Shamrock said Farouk was a goof, trying to intimidate him, surrounded by a gang, didn't know how to fight one-on-one, and if Vince wanted to put something together, he'd have no problem with it. And a panicked Vince hurried to break.
That was a good promo.
It was a great promo. Much better than anything else he'd done on the show. So they stalled forever. Farouk worked over the leg for about 9 hours. Taker made a comeback. Nobody cared. Match stopped for a while. And Taker no-sold a pile driver, and the Nation hit the ring for the DQ. I believe they went 4 for 4.
4 for 4 in shitty finishes and WWE matches on this classic edition of Raw.
Now listen. Maybe you didn't enjoy the ECW stuff as much as I did. That's fine. Will you admit what a complete, miserable nightmare disaster of a show this would have been if you took those segments out?
Well, we don't know what they would have replaced it with.
Based on what they did put in.
They may have replaced it with Sid promos and Bret Hart matches and Owen and Bulldog
I'm
and
guessing that
Steve Austin.
if Austin and Brett and Owen and Bulldog were available, we wouldn't have gotten the Black Jacks.
Yeah, so don't ever send him to fucking Germany again.
But they did, and so it would have been worse. All I'm saying is the worst ECW thing on here was much better than the best WWF thing.
That's the lowest praise
Fine.
I've ever heard. Listen, I said it was a memorable show and it was not boring. What the fuck more do you want?
To admit that the WWF stuff was worse than the ECW
I
stuff.
said that!
Okay.
But it was all bad.
I don't agree. I like Taz.
Okay, fine. Taz and Mikey Whipwreck for 2 minutes was not bad.
There you go.
Are you all happy now?
Craig, are you happy?
You'd like to add Craig?
I don't care.
Wow.
How did you and I switch spots here? What happened?
No. I just, who cares? Let's go.
Who cares?
I'm arguing with you, and he's apathetic.
I'm shocked. I think he just doesn't want to talk about it because he has such fond memories as a child, and then he watched it again and was like, wow.
Thank you for speaking for me. I appreciate that.
What the hell? Well, tell us then.
Play a song.
Do you have any comments on Nitro?
You got it open. Play a song.
Jesus.
Bring him into this.
So, I understand building it up. I understand wanting to
Are we in a cathedral here?
make this thing bigger. But right now is a leader. And so I wouldn't even be mad if like the was on fire and you had all of this talent and these great and these great fine. Leave the fucking guy in and build the with him. But you know what? Are you happy now?
Play another song.
I had that queued up.
Play this on me. Play a song.
You told me. We could have been talking about ECW and said that happened. I don't even know what that was.
It's like you were delivering a speech to the masses.
About what?
About, I don't know, they bleeped it out.
Well, let's go.
All right.
Nitro.
All right, then. Public Enemy versus the wacky tag team of Steve Michael and Jeff Jarrett. So the pay-per-view was the night before, and they showed clips. Public Enemy won a three-way tag match against Harlem Heat and the Faces of Fear. And then Deborah helped Jarrett beat Mongo, and this meant Jarrett earned a spot in the Horsemen, which, as Tony pointed out, made 5 Horsemen. So, here in this match, first of all, I have very mixed feelings about this. They never put Mongo and Johnny Grunge in the ring together. But the story is, the ref got distracted, Mongo got the briefcase, and Mongo whacked Jarrett, and Public Enemy won.
Waffled him with it.
Because Lord knows this storyline can't ever be done.
Hey, thank God he did that because otherwise this made no sense.
Thank
Why
God
was Mongo coming out here with his wife after his wife caused him to get beat by Jeff Jarrett the night before?
Well, that makes no sense either way.
He was biding his time to get his revenge.
I see.
And-
I underestimated Mongo's devious nature.
He explained it in his promo.
He should have hit Jeff with a briefcase and then opened up the briefcase and gave her divorce papers. Because
Word.
obviously she has something for Jarrett.
It's been pretty clear for a while now.
Maybe there's a prenup.
Thank God he did that because it ended this match because the Public Enemy sucks.
Well, yeah, we all agree on that one.
Wow.
So the Horsemen come out, and Flair tries to make peace, and Arn gives a pep talk, and Mongo's bitching, and at the end, they're all just friends again.
He didn't like this?
No!
I thought it was great.
This dysfunctional Horseman bullshit. It is the Divas Revolution before the Divas Revolution.
First off,
It is Team PCB 20
no.
years early.
Dude, don't make me have you watch the whole Raw and all those segments you don't have to see,
Well,
fucker.
fair enough.
Mongo did this awesome promo. Mongo was a great promo. He explained that they're like brothers, he said. We're all horsemen, now we're like brothers. And when a brother messes with you, you take him outside, you slap him around a bit, and I did that tonight. Flair says we got to be team players. Arn says the NWO is getting stronger, the dungeon's getting stronger, and we're getting weaker. Everybody's hurt, except Mongo and Jarrett. So you fuckers need to shake hands and get on the same page. And Mongo says, I never said you weren't family, Jeff. I'll mess with you, but nobody else better. And they shook hands. I thought this was great.
Also, to add, they said Benoit was at home recuperating because he'd had a knockdown drag out with Sullivan the night before.
He's in the hospital.
Well, let's
That's
talk
right.
about
Sorry.
that. Yeah, when they show clips of it.
By the way, who booked match number 2? I want their job.
Hacksaw Jim Duggan versus Galaxy.
This is Halloween.
Apparently.
Halloween is too wacky.
Oh, it was Halloween?
But yeah,
Oh.
they called him
God, that
Galaxy.
makes it even worse, actually. Because Halloween's awesome. I didn't know who Galaxy was. I knew he was a luchador. And all I could think was he probably came to Nitro thinking, sure, I'm going to put somebody over, but I will get a chance to show what I can do. No. We're going to put you in there with a clumsy oaf who's a whole head taller than you to make you look tiny and not take any of your moves. You will bump and bump and bump and bump and bump. You will miss a moonsault and get punched and get pinned. And that's what happened.
Let's be fair. It could have been 1,000 times worse.
Sure. It wasn't bad. It was just pointless.
The first 4 or 5 matches of the show were pointless.
Well, yeah. So
You're
Duggan,
telling me you didn't like Hugh Morris versus Joe Gomez?
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. But also, why are they still doing the tape gimmick with Duggan? Is it
why are they doing
illegal?
anything with Duggan?
Okay,
Exactly.
I'm going to talk about this, okay?
Here we go.
I actually wrote this down
All right.
because I wanted to talk about it. So Hacksaw comes out, he has a match with Galaxy, and he wins with the stupid tape fist.
Right.
And at first I was like, okay, it's been 2 fucking years that I've seen this goddamn tape fist, and it never goes anywhere. Hacksaw shows up every 2 months, he beats someone with his tape fist, and then we don't see him for another 2 months. What is the fucking point? And then it hit me. It is so much better this way, because in a little while, Vince Russo is going to show up. And Vince Russo's whole thing was, everybody has to have a storyline. Everybody in the whole promotion has to have something to do. And so we ended up with this 50-50 bullshit, where to make sure that everybody has something to do, everybody has to win and lose against everybody else. I would much rather Hacksaw showed up every 2 months, won a stupid match, and we didn't see him again for 2 more months, which is exactly what's been happening with him. Do you really want him in the mix? I don't want him in the mix.
I prefer to have him not be on the show.
Well, you ain't going to get that.
So he knocks out Galaxy and pins him here. Then he shouts out Hulk Hogan's name. Then he goes to get an interview with Gene where he's calling out Hogan and saying, Terry, you know I can't beat you. Does anyone pull him aside and say, look, Jim, we like you. You're not going to main event with Hulk Hogan. It's not going to happen.
Vinny, can you at least admit that this was still a pretty goddamn good promo?
It was much better than anything on Raw.
Yeah.
Okay.
I couldn't believe in the first 15 minutes of the show, Steve Mongo McMichael and Hacksaw Jim Duggan did better promos than almost everybody on the entire WWE roster in 2016. That's a sad state of affairs.
Well, to be fair, we have seen Mongo was a great promo.
Yes.
He's got a lot of good promos. We were 21 minutes and 40 seconds into the show, and I'm very specific with that because at this point they did a shot of the crowd. There was a young boy in there, and they were in Sacramento, California in 1997, and I am almost positive this was Nate Diaz.
Yeah, go to Vinny's Twitter. He posted the picture.
Yeah. Am I wrong, Craig?
I said it's really close, but the kid didn't look stoned. So,
He was 12. I realized Nate Diaz was probably, well.
yeah,
all right.
there you go.
Kind of does.
Yeah. Joe Gomez versus Hugh Morris. Here's all I wrote about. In fact, I wrote too much about this, but I will tell you all I wrote anyway.
I bet you wrote more than me.
Gomez got more offense than he needed to. Then Morris caught him on a leapfrog, slammed him down, and hit the moonsault to finish him off.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I wrote Hugh Morris wins with the moonsault.
Yeah.
There's nothing more to say.
Yeah. They showed shots of the Benoit Sullivan match in the pay-per-view with Woman and Jacqueline both getting constantly involved. I'm pretty sure this is the match they put on the Benoit DVD, which if you, obviously is not easy to get these days, but if you have it and if you don't mind watching Chris Benoit matches, that one is awesome. And the finish was, and I will never forget this, Sullivan's laid out on a table. Benoit's going to put him through it. Jackie throws herself on top of Sullivan to save him. Benoit says, hell with this, I'm jumping onto the pile. Benoit goes flying through the air. He lands on Jackie on top of Sullivan on top of the table, and the table does not break. It looked terribly bad. Not in the bad, like, sloppy way, but in like, oh my god, I bet they all injured themselves very badly just now.
That was a storyline.
And they all went down, and we were told all three were still in the hospital, and if you saw this spot, you would believe that. La Parka versus Ice Train.
Yes. Am I the only one?
Yes.
Oh, come on.
Tell us about how great Ice Train is.
Well, I mean, the match wasn't very good. I really liked the Ice Train.
You didn't get to hear his music that much.
Oh, I got to hear plenty.
All right.
It's called Rewind.
I see. Teddy Long did an inset promo. Was it about Ice Train? No.
Who fucking knows?
It was about Jacqueline and how she should not be with Kevin Sullivan.
You know, just so everybody knows that I don't think that everything back then was better than today, 95% of the WWE locker room with a bad script, pretty much everybody but JoJo, I'm pretty sure can do a better promo than Teddy Long did in this inset promo. It was horrible.
And yet not nearly as bad as Goldust's was on Raw.
And this is Teddy Long.
Yeah. So, Parker got some offense, almost entirely spin kicks and one corkscrew plancha. And Train finally caught him and slammed him down, and he got the win with a standing splash.
The train wreck.
Now, I realize that he can jump really high for anyone, let alone a 300-pound man. But still, I'm going to stand here, I'm going to jump as high as I can, and I'm just going to come crashing down on top of you.
Dude, that was the Warriors finish, except he was running.
He was running.
But he got half the height.
Yeah, maybe. So, yes, Train won. Eddie Guerrero and Chris Jericho versus the Faces of Fear.
Oh, man.
You know how tough the Barbarian is?
Very.
Well, yes, but I don't know what elbow injury he had, but apparently he was backstage and he couldn't find a brace or a bandage that would satisfy him. He duct taped his elbow and went out there and worked.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, there is a match that's going to be coming up on Raw very soon. It is Shawn Michaels and Steve Austin against Owen Hart and Davey Boy Smith. Shawn's first match back after losing his smile.
Yeah.
I love that match. I watched that match a million times. It is a match that most people don't even think of when they think of great matches of the 90s. I thought it was so great. If I would have really known what I was doing back then, I would have watched this match 1,000 times. This match was wondrous. It was, everything about it was awesome. Meng, when Eddie Guerrero makes a hot tag, and Meng is selling like he's not going to be taken off of his feet, and he gets a drop kick and he swings his arms and stands up, ah! And then he gets hit again and he swings his arms and goes, ah! And then he gets hit a third time and he swings his arms and goes in a full circle and starts going, ah! And crawling at the air, then falls down. Beautiful.
This was a fantastic big team versus little team match.
It was a classic old school pro wrestling tag team match.
Because the only way the babyfaces had a chance here, because they were physically just completely outmatched, but by working together, they could take these guys out one at a time. It was all about teamwork and coordination. We've said many times that the Faces of Fear, we did not give them nearly enough credit at the time. All their offense is awesome, and of course, they're great sellers as well. And finally, the babyfaces are running wild. Jericho goes to the quebrada, but Meng pulls the ropes down. Excuse me.
You should have seen Vinny's eyes grow wide.
Meng pulls the ropes down. Jericho goes flying out of the ring.
I wish I would have filmed that moment. I've never seen that before.
I've never said that before.
You just stopped and your eyes grew as wide as saucers.
I believe you.
Like someone's going to swoop in and arrest you for saying that.
For a slip of the tongue. So, shut up, Craig.
Wow.
Jericho goes flying out of the ring. Eddie goes up top. Malenko runs down, pushes Eddie off the top rope, right into a Barbarian big boot for the win.
You also missed the spot where they do their double team, where Meng backdrops.
The backdrop powerbomb combo.
And he backdrops Jericho, and Barbarian catches him, but just barely. Jericho probably saw his life flash before his eyes because he was just a little shy catching him, and he almost slipped out. But, of course, Barbarian's a stud and caught him.
I think
right
that happened
before.
every time they tried that spot. He just tossed a guy, and Barbarian had to catch him out of midair.
Mm-hmm. This one, he almost dropped Jericho, but he caught him. It could have been really ugly, and I'm sure Jericho messed himself.
He may have. Juventud Guerrera versus Rey Mysterio Jr. Awesome match.
Yeah.
Back and forth the whole way. They did lots of big moves. But they didn't do too many big moves where you got numb to it. It wasn't the Young Bucks. Everything they did looked crisp and perfect. Finally, Hoovy tries a flip dive into the ring, but Ray catches him and hits a powerbomb, and then Ray follows with a springboard Rana for the win. This is great stuff, and it was matches like, not in this one specifically, but matches like this that revolutionized pro wrestling and led to a lot of what we've seen over the last 2 decades.
Good match.
Thanks, guys.
What the hell more do you want? They had a good wrestling match. You covered it all.
Yeah, the Lee Marshall Road Report. I feel I need to catalog these because they're so dumb.
Please do, because I fast forward through all of them.
So Lee's...
This one was at another level dumb.
Lee's in Atlanta. So he talking about Gone with the Wind. Or as he calls it, Gone with the Weasel. And it's not enough to leave it there. He has to say that Clark Gable's famous line in that movie is, "Weasels can't build a dam."
Well,
he
he's
was paid.
right.
They gave him money. That's the best he could do.
Yeah. I wonder if he wrote his own material.
I should hope he did.
Or if they had a guy.
I don't even know what would be worse, honestly.
They should have had Heenan write his own jokes for the guy.
Yeah, that would have been better. That would have been much better. Pat Tanaka versus Prince Iaukea.
God, Tanaka was great.
Tanaka using Goldberg's music will never not be funny.
IK was not great.
No. Why is he the television champion?
Because they wanted Rock.
Because Rock was the Islander who beat the Snob for the title, and so they had an Islander beat a Snob for the title.
That's funny when you think about it.
It's a fact.
We had The Rock versus Prince
Iaukea.
Iaukea.
What could go wrong?
And you know what IK's finish was? Same thing Rock used for a while. The big, old school babyface high cross.
That's right. I also like that Pat Tanaka is the guy with the Chinese gear and the Japanese name, and he mentions he's the son of Duke Kiyomuka, the great Hawaiian wrestler.
Who cares? It's wrestling.
Hey.
He's bipolar.
Yeah. Then we got Ultimo Dragon versus Dean Malenko.
Another great match.
This was awesome.
I know it's not like this is forgotten, but I was reminded in the show just how great the WCW Cruiserweight division in 1997 was.
I like this better than Ray and Hoovy.
I don't blame you. Mm-hmm. This was great too. But you had Dragon and Malenko and Eddie and Jericho and Ray and Hoovy, Psychosis.
And you know what's great about this? As the match was happening, all of the announcers called the action.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, that's novel.
You mean they weren't talking about other promos and other
No.
angles? And
Nor were they yelling at each other.
They weren't insulting each other. They
Nor
weren't
did a fight
bickering.
break out amongst them.
No.
Interesting.
They didn't repeat the same. There were no obscure sports references. Everyone knew what they were talking about. Yeah, it was awesome. So this was more of a traditional U.S. style with Dragon getting a long heat segment. So there's a story going on, and it actually was told throughout. But Dean was challenging... Actually, I guess he lost the title at the pay-per-view to 6. He lost the Cruiserweight title to 6 when Eddie's interference backfired. So Eddie accidentally screwed Dean, so Dean is pissed. That's why.
And he's on a slow heel turn from there.
Yeah, which pretty much was done by the end of this. But
Right.
he came out earlier and interfered in Eddie's match. Here, he is wrestling very differently. He is much angrier. He's much more aggressive. He's doing a lot more kicking and punching and less just holds. And finally, he gets to the point where in a normal match, he would make his comeback. He dodges the charge. He hits a big German suplex. And then he just starts choking the life out of Dragon. And the ref can barely pull him off. Sonny Ono tries to get involved. Dean throws him aside, and he goes back to choking Dragon, and he chokes him out for the 5 count in the DQ. The crowd groans because the DQ for kicking too much ass finish always sucks. But here, at least it made sense and was the part of a larger storyline. So, fine.
Because Dean had snapped.
Dean lost his damn mind.
And he's upset about losing the title. He's upset about Eddie.
Mm-hmm.
And there we go.
Yeah.
It made sense.
And he cut a promo just in case anyone missed any of this. He said, 6, I have not forgotten about you, but I will deal with you and get my title back later. Right now, I am focusing on Eddie. Eddie, you screwed me, and I'm sick of all this disrespect, and I just don't care anymore. He stormed off.
Man.
Diamond Dallas Page versus Squire Dave Taylor.
Was Dave on Safari?
I don't know what was up
What
with
He's
this.
been
this?
having that gimmick for a while.
What is this get up?
The Sherlock Holmes hat.
Yeah, they did it for a while.
Yeah.
What's his face? Parker does the same thing.
No.
He's the Legionnaire.
I see.
That's different.
No, this guy was on Safari.
So Paige won in a minute, or excuse me, he could have won in a minute, but the Outsiders came out. And so Paige opted to not get the pin and try to watch them instead so they didn't kick his ass. They distracted him. Savage came out for the back, clonked Paige in the back of the head with a can of spray paint, and then this became the best Nitro ever. Some fan thought it'd be a great idea to say, I'm going to go party with the NWO.
Mm-hmm.
I bet those guys will like me. And this guy hits the ring, and he tries to hug Nash, and Nash is just caught off guard and doesn't move. So he goes over to Hall, and Hall grabs him and starts laying in forearms. He's defending himself. He has no idea what this guy's up to. He's teaching him a lesson.
Dude, the best part is he's kind of roughing him up, and then Nash is kind of roughing the guy up.
Savage.
Fucking Savage becomes a wild beast.
For
Eyes
those of you who
grow
don't
wide.
know, and you can tell through his sunglasses,
Yeah.
Randy Savage was insane. And he went over and he gave this guy a working over. And I don't know what might have happened. Nash intervened. Nash stepped between Savage and this fan and saved the fan's life. And he threw him out of the ring, and security ran him down.
By the way,
I
security
love-
staff.
Oh, yeah. Way to go, guys. Way to go.
This meeting lasted a good 45 seconds before the security ran out.
Even then, he was still running away from him. Yeah, they had
Nice
no idea what
job.
they're doing.
We've got
One of the better fan beatings I've seen.
we got 3 cats, all indoor cats, and the wolf was born outside. So his father must be around here somewhere. His mother is at your house.
Yeah.
So there is a cat that every now and then we see lurking around. And maybe 2, maybe 3 times it's jumped over the fence and is looked in our downstairs sliding glass door.
Right.
When Tiggy sees this other cat, she does a Randy Savage.
Uh-oh.
Fucking every hair on her body stands up. She grows to twice her size. She hisses, she growls, she attacks the fucking sliding glass door. The cat goes running over the fence, and Tiggy takes off trying to go after the cat from inside the house. She jumps up on the counter, she jumps up, she puts her hands up on the glass. She was Randy Savage. That's what this guy looked like when that fan hit the ring.
Yep.
Man, why are you trying to keep the wolf away from his father? The guy just wants to check in on his son.
He's a deadbeat.
Yeah?
So fuck him.
Huh.
Where was he when the wolf was stranded outside with his kin?
No, maybe he feels bad, man. He wants to make amends.
Deadbeat. Anyway, that's what Savage looked like. A fucking wild beast.
It was awesome. So they got the fan out of the ring, and they controlled Savage, and he dropped an elbow on Paige, and they tagged him, and that was that.
He literally was like a shark smelling blood. Like Jaws. Randy Savage would have been a better Jaws than Jaws.
All right. It sure was fun watching him punch this guy. That's all I
don't
know.
think the 1976 Jaws in that movie was as intimidating as Randy Savage going after this fan.
I know Jaws could have spelled NWO on DDP's back because Savage could not.
What did he spell?
God knows what he wrote.
It's probably was this before the fan hit the ring?
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. I was gonna chalk
He
up
might have been writing
adrenaline.
die.
So they go to break. When they come back, Savage, Hall, and Nash are all still out there. They formally welcome Savage to the club. They bring out Hogan. Hall is playing
God,
Mean
what a
Gene.
storyline, by the way. We hadn't even talked about this.
Now,
Yeah.
Randy Savage is now a heel. He screwed Roddy Piper.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the story was he lost a match to Hogan. He disappeared for a while. He showed up claiming he had been blackballed and Eric Bischoff wouldn't return his calls. He started hanging out with Sting, and then he turned bad.
Right.
Welcome to WCW.
The closest he could get, and they did not explain it at all. They gave zero explanation.
No, it made no sense.
It wouldn't be that hard to say he gave in to Eric's wishes and Eric signed him back.
Nope.
That took 0 seconds.
Nothing.
Yeah. They just said, look, Savage is NWO now. Hogan comes out, says he's got a surprise for Randy, and Bischoff and DiBiase, who is long past the point of being obsolete in the NWO. But they walk out with a smiling, happy Miss Elizabeth.
I couldn't believe she was smiling.
This is the big surprise for Randy is we've reunited you with your long lost love, and what a reunion this was. They did an awkward side to side hug.
Mm-hmm.
Randy tried to kiss the top of her head. She pulled away, and then they never acknowledged each other's existence again. Feel the passion.
Oh, man. What a storyline.
Yeah. And they all ran their mouths for a while and declared that Sacramento was NWO territory. Main event was supposed to be Harlem Heat versus Giant Lex Luger. Eric Bischoff comes running out, and Schiavone says, "You know what's going to happen? He's going to strip Giant and Luger of the belts." He did.
Yeah.
He says, "You won those
Damn
last
it.
night. But Lex, you never got your doctor's clearance. You were not supposed to be in that match, and you hit a man with your cast."
Hey, where the hell was Larry?
Who cares?
I just realized he was gone.
He was in the first half of the show.
He was?
Yeah.
Wow.
You watched a whole hour of Larry Zbyszko and tuned him out.
How about that?
Yeah.
Good for me.
Yeah. I'm jealous.
How
So-
the fuck did I miss that?
This is one of those things that happens all the time on Raw now that I hate, where blood rivals, hated enemies, they all get in the ring for a friendly chat. So Giant's there, and Luger's there, and Harlem Heat's there, and the NWOs, all the NWOs in the ring, and they're all just talking. No one's fists even clenched.
Nope.
So
Business.
I guess so. So Bischoff says, "I'm taking those titles back," and Luger says, No, you're not, unless at the next pay-per-view, you put every title on the line, because they've got the tag belts, they've got the world championship, they've got the cruiserweight championship. I guess that's it.
I was going to say, what are the belts going to be on the line here?
Prince Iaukea. So he says, all the belts on the line and uncensored, WCW versus NWO. And Bischoff says, "Fine. Why not? I got to do a show anyway." Takes the titles back.
So I don't remember where this goes, but what does this mean? So it's going to be Hogan as the world champion, Luger and Giant as the tag champions, and then Hogan gets a partner. So if his partner is...
I don't think they did one match. I think it's Hogan defending the title in a match. Hall and Nash defending the title, probably against Luger and Giant again.
I thought it was like everybody was in a tag match, and whoever got the pin lost their belt.
If only there was a computer that you could look this
Well,
up
no,
on.
it's for the purposes of reviewing, it's better to talk about how confused we are.
Yeah,
Okay.
Obviously, we could do research, but that defeats the purpose.
it wasn't explained like
No.
what the hell this means. Like if Hogan gets a partner who has no belt, and that guy gets pinned, what, nothing happens?
I don't know. The point
Which
is,
I could believe in this company.
the point is, they did not explain it, and in all likelihood, they didn't know. So then Sting comes down. The NWO parts ways so he can enter the ring. Sting looks at Lex for a while. He looks at Hogan. Hogan hugs him. Sting doesn't hug him back, but then he stands by the NWO and the show goes off the air. I have no idea what that was. I know what it didn't lead to, but all I know is Nitro kicked Raw's ass this week.
It did, but you know what? If you look at the two companies right now, Raw's undercard is such shit.
As we was on evident display tonight.
But they have a long-term vision.
Yes.
Now, granted, it got fucked up,
Yes.
but they got a long-term vision. WCW has this great undercard full of wondrous matches. They have no long-term direction.
Flying by the seat of their pants. One show at a time.
This NWO stuff is a fucking disaster.
It
I don't even know what's happening.
often is.
So I've done a little research. Wikipedia says the main event was Team NWO,
Oh, I was wrong.
Kevin Nash,
That's what I said.
Scott Hall, Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage with Dennis Rodman. Defeated Team Piper, Roddy Piper, Chris Benoit, Steve McMichael, and Jeff Jarrett. And Team WCW.
Oh, no.
Lex Luger, the Giant, and Scott Steiner.
Just realized the horrors.
Oh, God,
the
I
horrible
forgot.
segment that's going to be come between now and then.
Who was Piper's team?
Piper's team was
The
Roddy
Horsemen.
Piper, Chris Benoit, Steve McMichael, and Jeff Jarrett. Team WCW was Lex Luger, the Giant, and Scott Steiner. Somebody's obviously missing there. And it said
So there was
something-
3 teams?
yeah.
I can't wait to watch the TV.
Oh, God.
I'm lost just hearing this
I've
match.
forgotten.
We do get the legendary Roddy Piper picking his team, which goes down in history as one of the worst segments of all of the 90s.
In any TV show.
A TV show, including like Survivor,
Full House.
ECW.
Survivor.
I love Survivor. Thank
Forgot that. It was not in the 90s.
Wasn't?
you. I don't think so.
It started in the late 90s. But it was 99. Find out when Survivor started.
Oh, for God's sakes.
Oh, this is important. Everyone races to type in Survivor.
I'm not.
Survivor Wikipedia. All right, Survivor started in close 2000.
I was right, but wrong.
Haven't missed a season.
You were actually much closer than I was.
Well, I got another song here. Should we try this again?
I'm afraid to.
Play a song, Brian.
Wow. Crack the whip, fucker. Here we go.
You are now about to witness the strength of
WrestlingObserver.com.
I hope this is edited.
Bothell, Washington.
Crazy motherfucker named
Brian Alvarez.
from the gang called
The Bryan and Vinny Show.
I got him jacked off
To Naomi.
ass. So give it up smooth. Ain't no telling when I'm down for a jack off. Yo, weekly, monthly, and yearly.
Craig's so happy.
Fucking see clearly that I'm down with
Black women. I love them. I gushed over Naomi.
Sometimes a good girl gotta be bad in order to get things done.
Gush, gush, gush.
Wow.
You happy now?
Kinda.
That was better than the last one.
That's like, never mind.
Yes, Vinny?
I was going to say, you my comment about ECW being better than WWF being low praise.
Oh, I see.
It
Wow.
rings true here as well.
Come on, a lot of hard work was put into that one. Uh-oh.
What?
All right, everybody. We're going to wrap